Welcome back to Data Driven Recruiting. My name is Sophia Beck, and I'm joined by my co-host Tigran Sloyan.
Hey, Sophia. So today we're talking about one of the interesting and somewhat surprising benefits of technical assessments, which is to automate technical interviews, and specifically the phone interview, right? Because typically technical recruiting organizations have two types of interviews. There is a phone interview, and then there's an on-site interview. So the on-site interview is where there is a lot of talk about like the culture fit, in addition to some design interviews and just understanding how this person collaborates, can we work with them, et cetera, et cetera. But then there's almost always a phone interview involved, which can be very time-consuming. It takes a lot of time to schedule because most people have a job. They can't really do it at work hours, but then the interviewing engineers can't do it at work hours either, outside of work hours.
Yeah, so this is the interview where the technical job candidate and then an existing current engineer gets on the phone or video call and do some technical assessment together.
Yep. Usually involves some sort of pair programming and coding together using some sort of a collaborative coding tool.
Yeah.
Ideally CodeSignal, but using one of the collaborative coding tools. Now, what we've been seeing recently with some of our customers, which is really interesting, is that they've started basically automating that step by using automated technical assessments. So essentially, instead of doing a phone interview, getting candidates to pass a technical automated assessment and then just go directly to on-site without doing the phone interview, which is huge because it saves so much time from engineers. Because if you're hiring engineers, obviously you don't have enough engineers. That's why you're hiring.
You're really struggling because you don't have enough manpower.
Right.
So adding these interview sessions on top of your regular job.
Further. Yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like ideal. Not for efficiency point of view, engineers can save a lot of time. Recruiters can move the candidates a lot faster. As well as from the buyer's perspective, because one thing that we talked about is how once you face the other human, you can actually bring your unconscious bias. So it sounds like a great, a dream-like thing. But what about the candidate experience? Do they feel like it's kind of inhuman, it's not personal enough?
Sure.
Yeah.
I kind of had that sort of assumption too in the beginning, but some of our customers have been doing really this awesome experiment where they ask the candidate, right? So instead of sort of forcing it, even when you force it, basically turns out most candidates do it. It's just you don't know whether they like it or not, right?
Right.
It's part of the process. It's a technical interview. Everybody expects to do a technical interview. Here's an automated technical interview, right? But then some of our clients are doing this experiment where they give the candidate an option.
Oh, so do you want the automated one that you can do it on your time?
Yep. Or do you want to talk to one of our engineers? It turns out more than half, and these are very senior engineering candidates, right? More than half of the candidates choose to do the automated option. And it kind of makes sense if you think about it, right? Most engineers tend to be introverts. And as an introvert, the last thing you want to do is try to demonstrate your skill while somebody is literally watching you do it. Because it's very nerve-wracking, right? When you're trying to focus and think about what the hell is this thing asking me, and then
and then they ask us some question, and it's wait, am I not doing it right?
Exactly, right? Your thought process can get ruined, everything can get kind of scrambled, and then you can get really nervous and mess it up. Whereas in an automated setting, you're kind of sitting in your own comfort, in your couch, in whatever position you like to code in.
Yeah.
And then you're doing your own thing without worrying about having to sort of keep the interviewer entertained or interested in whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Sometimes the interviewers will ask hey, think out loud, what are you thinking?
Exactly.
Tell me what's going on. But then it's you never really do that when you're programming on your own.
Weird if you're doing it on your own.
Yeah, so it'll be unnatural, and then it's another thing that could frustrate the candidates.
Right, and it doesn't have anything to do with the job, I guess. When it comes to sort of when you're hired, you're not necessarily expected to sit there like code and explain what you're doing. That's not really part of the job, right? It might be when you're sort of discussing some topic, but not when you're actually trying to implement something while explaining what you're doing. And it can create unnecessary stress. And that's why a lot of the times candidates say that like interviewing is almost becomes a skill, because there's so many things that are different when you're doing this phone interviews that you almost have to specifically practice for that. Otherwise, it's like, you never know how it's going to go, even if you're a great engineer.
I see. So like in these cases, like when the potential employer gives the option to the candidates to choose, after that, like they just come on site?
Yeah,
I mean,
they go straight to on-site. So it's basically an automated interview. It's not an additional step.
I see.
And which is part of the reason why so many candidates are excited about it. It's like, well, I'm going to spend an hour with a interviewer and I'm going to spend an hour doing this. Again, right, the assessment itself has to be well designed, because one of the reasons that a lot of engineers hate automated assessments is that they've been very poorly designed in a lot of cases, right?
So that's what we hear a lot, right?
That's what we hear a lot from customers who switch to some of our competitors, is that like the candidates are just not happy about the quality of the assessment.
Right.
They're not happy about how clear the questions are worded. They're not happy about like, is this actually testing any of the relevant skills? Is it giving me opportunity to actually display my ability? Right. So it has left a bitter taste in some people's mouths. So like as we are sort of cleaning that up, it's becoming more and more a very viable option to replace interviews.
I see. So to summarize, it seems like you can automate the interview portion with an automated kind of a test option, and it can actually help you save time, actually deliver better candidate experience, but you have to have a good, very well calibrated and thought through
designed assessments. Yeah, exactly. And it can help you reduce some of the bias that comes in at that early stage of the process.
Right. And also like if the assessment is not well designed, you're going to end up with a lot of false positives coming to on-site and then actually waste time for everyone. So I guess this can be done if we have a very well designed assessments.
And it's being done. Many companies, many fast-growing, very well-known companies. I don't want to start naming names, but like that's exactly what they're doing, and the results are surprising but very exciting.
Yeah. It could reduce the time of the entire interview process from being a couple months to just a week or two.
Yeah, because scheduling becomes much easier when it's an automated assessment you can do on the weekend over, at 10 p.m. instead of like having to schedule it in between your day jobs meetings.
Yeah. Well, sounds great. Thank you for the insights today. And thanks for joining us. For more tips and insights on data-driven recruiting, please go visit ddr.codesignal.com.